Samer, welcome to the Commerce Talks podcast together with Lina, who is co-hosting this episode until she has to run for moderating something on stage. Please tell us who you are and what your company is doing.
So my name is Samer El Sahn. I work as the Chief Product Officer in Floward. So starting with Floward, we are an online platform for gifting. We have started as flowers platform, and then we moved into the gifting platform. We're more of a retailer, so which means that we buy and sell our own products. So we procure and bring the flowers. We have been in multiple countries: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, Egypt, and even in London. And we have been growing super fast this period, and we're aiming to even double down on the gifting as flowers as well.
And I read in my preparation, you got like a 156 million Series C funding.
Yes, we have just.
So there must be a huge flower market because like the people that are giving you the funding, they want their money back at some time in the future.
So actually, like it wasn't that we needed the cash, but going into gifting and being a retailer, we wanted to buy and acquire companies. So we acquired Mubkhar last year, which is a fragrance local brand. And we aim to acquire more local brands and incorporate them in our flower gifting brand.
Okay. Before I hand over to Lina, who has like, I don't know, 10 questions, because she's more like the flower recipient here in this round. Can you give us an overview of the flower market? Is it like perfumes, for example? We had, Ronnie from Golden Scent here in the podcast, and he told us like perfumes, is like 5 times the size, per capita compared to like European market. So what is with flowers? Because flowers are not growing outside the street here. It's like really a thing you have to import or do you have to grow artificially somehow?
So I think in this region, we have been lucky by 2 things. The first thing is COVID. So we have seen a lot of growth, especially here in Saudi Arabia through COVID, but more about the culture in this region. So we position ourselves as a luxury brand. So it's more of how do you present very, very high quality flowers and put like selection that you don't find in the market easily.
Yeah.
And that helped us to penetrate this market, because when you talk about the gifting itself in this region, you know, like in this region, we tend to be very generous in gifting. It represents us. It reflects how our love is worth for us. And that helps us to grow a lot in this region. So I would say that flowers and gifting in this region is huge. I wouldn't say that it's as big as the flower market, let's say in London, but it's picking up and it's growing at a faster pace. And on the other side, the average order value basket is very high. So it's higher than other places.
Okay. Before I go into the details about the business model, Lina, do you have a perspective on the flower market here? So how many flowers are you getting? How many bouquets is your husband giving you on a weekly basis, daily basis, maybe?
Well, let me tell you that first of all, when I moved to this region, the shock was at how expensive, of course. Okay. So it's a lot more expensive than anywhere else, let's say in European market. And for what you get.
But expensive how? You know, you have only lived in expensive cities. So I would pay like 20 euros for a nice bouquet of flowers where my wife would not beat me and throw it away. So like in a nice bouquet is like this size or so, different set of flowers.
No,
so is this expensive already?
No. So here, you know, you would be paying, let's say $50 for a bouquet, which is just okay. Like you will send to a friend for a birthday, just like a regular birthday, and it will be $50 for a bouquet. If you want to send someone like, let's say, a nice bouquet of flowers, right? So like whether it's a baby shower, a birthday, like 30 or 40 or 50 birthday, you would be paying way above $100 for a bouquet, way above that.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I mean. It's expensive. So I totally agree with him when he says that the average order value is quite high. And, but you also have a lot of players. And so that was one for me, like the price. The second thing was that you can't really negotiate. I was used to like the European, like a market. You can go to a market, and buy a bouquet of flowers and kind of say to them what you want. Here, you can't really say like flowers are treated like a proper gift, like a proper gift. And you are expected to pay for it. So like if I would have my mother staying in Dubai during Mother's Day, the bouquet of flowers would cost me, let's say 3x or 4x, and compared to what I would send her in London or like Lithuania, right? So the price, I think it's a key differentiator. And another thing is different is that we don't really have seasons. You know, in Europe, you always have a season for the certain type of flower, and people expect you to, I don't know, send some certain type of flowers for like Easter, if it's in the summer, you know, because there's different seasons. As you said, you know, we import here because we import, you can get the orchid 365 days. Okay. So there's no like orchid season. It's 365 days.
But is it true, Samer? Are you importing everything, or is there like a local production facilities?
So that depends on the market. It depends on where we are. So in Saudi Arabia, there is a big portion that is local market, like Tabuk, like there is places where they produce very, very high quality flowers. In other places where there is no abundance of local supply, we would get it from Kenya, Ecuador, or even Amsterdam, Netherlands.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So, and tell me, how does it work with the online business? I guess like the flower market was like a brick and mortar retail market before the online services entered the market. So you went to like a flower shop and order your bouquet. How does it work here?
So I think this is where, again, we were lucky with the COVID. This created a huge boost, especially in Saudi Arabia and in Qatar. And I would say that what makes Floward a little bit more differentiated is the reliability. So because we are a retailer, we own the whole experience end to end. We are able to deliver on time. We have one of the highest on-time delivery rates that I've seen in even other e-commerces in the region. And that created this kind of, if you have missed on an occasion and you want it now, and you want something that would reflect really the worth of your loved ones, you will go to Floward because you know they're reliable. You know that their brand perceived as a very luxury, and it's like you're gifting him a very good thing. And our collection is very, very unique with a high quality of flowers. So that helped us a lot into penetrating this market and eating from even the offline market.
So though you're not differentiating on price, you're not saying because you're a scalable online business, you get like a bouquet for lower price
than the local. We're not playing into this sector at all.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Like the supermarket kind of bouquets and these things, we don't sell these and we don't want to go there.
But does it mean that your market is also a bit more focused or slower on the upper end of the market? Because obviously the ones that just need I forget a birthday present, I need to visit Lina in her office in Dubai, I don't have anything, then I just go to the next, I don't know. In Germany, you can buy bouquets at gas stations. But that's like a different kind of set, right?
That was our entry point. But then when we were perceived as a good brand for gifting, and once we started to penetrate other verticals of gifting other than flowers, this is where we became the everyday occasion. So if you want a birthday occasion that's very unique, you want to find something like it, you would go to Floward. So that part helped us to grow even more and not just focus only on the flowers. It's more of the gifting, the experience, the occasion, what we call the moment, and how to capture the moment, how to make sure that it's very special. And I think this is what makes Floward very unique in the region.
Can local flower shops connect to your kind of business? Are you following a marketplace approach, or is it like a pure retail approach?
This is how we bring this kind of reliability because we own this experience end to end. And this is how we are able to compete with the others, because the others, it's very hard in a market-based model to control the experience because there is a third party with the quality of the third party, with the fulfillment of the third party. This creates this kind of lack of reliability. And this is where we perfected the quality and the reliability, which is more needed for the gifting. When you want a gift, you don't want any surprise. It's different than food, other stuff which you can return, because basically you're not buying for yourself. You're buying for somebody else. So there is no room for returns. There's no room for mistakes.
So the return rate is 0 then?
Almost there, except like if there is a problem between the sender and the recipient and he actually rejects the gift. It's not that he doesn't.
Is it your problem or is it the sender's problem? So let's say I send Lina a bouquet of flowers and I pay for it, but she rejects the on the receiving end when the flowers are delivered in her office, then you have to pay for it?
It's a very small sector, a small percentage. And again, if I want to provide you with an experience, so I will take this hit. It's the customer first. You try to gift somebody, he rejected it, it's fine. We're with you. We're behind you. It's fine. We're spreading the love.
So, I mean, very interesting, and I'll just say it's kind of the market where you can kind of just have a WhatsApp or a simple website. And as long as you provide the experience and you sure, like company, like people trust your brand, you're good to go and you're growing. So tell us, what does Chief Product Officer does in such a business, and what's maybe your role, and how do you see, like how do you shape it? Are you in charge of the tech? Are you in charge of all that end-to-end experience? Tell us and the speakers and the listeners more about what do you do in such a company? Because you come from some incredible brands in the region, and you helped to build in your career like what we know now, biggest marketplaces here, biggest transport vendors, the super apps.
Yeah.
So what's your role at Floward now?
So it was my first question as well before joining Floward. Like, why do you need me? What's the problem? And I think here's the interesting part. We're an online provider, and we have all the challenges of the online provider. So discovery and how do we acquire users? That's a digital presence that you need to build products for it. The retention rate and how to make sure that customers come back, how to create this soft lock. Again, this is something. And then at last, since we are a retail, so all the fulfillment technologies in-house. So we need to build these technologies. Like if I would say what we're focusing on in this period, it's how do we improve the discovery? Because again, we have lots of SKUs. So we have the same problem of you're coming in and actually this is a bigger problem. You're not buying for yourself. So you're confused. You don't know like what would my loved one or recipient would like. So we're not solving for you. We don't use the normal recommendation engines, which is built on your own habit and behavior, because it's not your behavior, it's the behavior of your recipient, which we don't know anything about. So that's one of the biggest problems. The second problem is almost more than 70% of our customers, they don't know the address of the recipient. They might know the location, they might know the area, but the exact address, they don't know.
How do you solve this?
So we start with this kind of, actually, this is one of our differentiating points, which is ask recipient. So when you add the address, don't bother, don't tell us anything. Just toggle on ask recipient. And now it's becoming the default even toggle. Like we'll figure it out. So that becomes the start. So even when the order can be delivered, it's something that we can take care of. Just tell us on a day, when do you want it? I will figure it out with the recipient at what time.
And what are you getting like from? You're getting like the recipient's email address or phone number?
Mobile number.
So the recipient knows there's a bouquet of flowers coming.
So that's what happens. It depends. If he wants it anonymous, we just send him a WhatsApp telling him that somebody wants to send you a gift. But if the other doesn't creepy. Check the anonymous, well, you'll be surprised. Like, yeah. But again, he has the number. He has the mobile number. And that allows, and this is from there, the percentage of rejected gifts. It's not that big. We thought it's going to be a big problem. It's not. People really love receiving gifts. People really love surprises. And that experience is something that created this Floward experience. So that journey of how do we collect the address without nagging really the recipient is a very tricky one. Where we started doing it manually and then we started automating it. Another one, which is it's a unique feature, which is the QR code. So when you receive this kind of a card with the gift, there is a QR code. You scan it and then you have like a video message from the sender. So it's become more interactive experience. And then the last feature that we have rolled out, which is say thank you. Now, capturing this moment, mostly when you send a gift, you want to know what was the reaction, how did it go, and you wait for the WhatsApp message coming from the recipient. So we ended it that within this QR code, you can send a message back to the recipient, a video or a message. And we have seen a lot of adoption on these two features. So again, these soft locks, these kinds of unique kind of locks for the experience. How do you make this moment not about just the gift? It's all about the experience around the gift. So this is where the product organization come to make sure that we make it well-rounded experience.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that these features what make you unique and help you grow and scale across the region? Because how did you decide it? For example, I work with the countries you mentioned, and they all have very different consumers, very different buying power, right? So even if you compare UAE and Saudi consumers, they're quite different. So what made you decide to scale? Did you just test in one market and you saw that, these features work, let's try? Or because you raised money, you're like, right, we just have to go and penetrate the market as soon as possible?
No. So another part that we are very strong and we've built a lot and invested a lot in lately is data. So we're a very data-driven company. Yes, we do test markets, and there's different ways where we have lots of access of research data. How do we collect it and all of that? But then when we start, we look very aggressively on specific data points. For instance, we have developed a model that makes a score for each product. So we understand if this score in which bucket, if this an underperformer or overachiever with like 16 different variants of scoring of this product. And then we can understand in the market, what are the products that's really working well? And we start boosting more of the likes of it, and which products are dying, and automatically we kill. Like just recycle and get new kind of things. I think we're more of a retail, which means category is a bigger player. If I would rank like what is very important for Floward, it's category number 1, product and tech number 2, and logistics fulfillment number 3, as driver for scale.
Because I would like, if you were asking me this question about like, give me like the 10 strategic like KPIs for such a business, I would have put like logistics on number 1, like getting all the fresh flowers from Amsterdam or from Africa, whatever, in a central warehouse, doing a smart selection process that like, I don't know, the one who's doing the bouquet doesn't need to run like from one corner to another corner in the warehouse, but everything is like in one place, that you have like a high productivity per place, because the ingredients, from my point of view, are like super expensive. When you're super inefficient on this side, that would have been my expectation. But you say this is just, you need to be good at it, but you don't need to be perfect at it. It's better to focus on the customer experience side.
So let me rephrase it a little bit differently. In my experience in all startups go into different phases of scale. So you start with the very early adopters, people who are tech savvy. You start with them and then you nail them. You start raising your seed round and all of that. And then you saturate. And then you move to a little bit of the bigger market. And that needs a totally different product market fit. And then you do the same thing. You raise round A, round B, and ready for the mass market. And that's a totally different beast where you totally need a totally different product market fit. And most of the startups like fall in this chasm between these two market segments. And accordingly, what you need for this phase differs from one part to another. Now, for Floward, we have mastered the fulfillment, operations, reliability, like having the highest delivery rates on time and having the highest efficiency and utilization rates for drivers and all of these metrics checked. Now, what's part of the product market fit, the next part is, as you said, the mass market differs. Once we start tapping into more and more of the offline players, the people who are not used to the online, this is where now the category and product play the biggest role. Maybe in the next phase, the product market fit will change and we'll have to shift focus to the fulfillment and logistics again, because the scale will be huge and it's a totally different beast.
Can you walk us through this kind of logistics journey a bit? Like an order comes in and because of your product marketing expertise or your product expertise, it's obviously a good experience, but then the order is placed. So
yes.
What happens then? Can you go, it's like where's the warehouses? Are there like, has every city like its own warehouse? Is there like one in the region and then you ship like next day? So how does it work?
So first, like the customer chooses the product, he chooses the time slot. Let's say like whatever, there's a time slot of 2 to 4 hours, depends on the country itself. So in some countries we'll do
same
2
day,
hours.
Same day or next day?
Same day.
Yeah.
Actually, more than 75% of our orders are same day. The people who plan are like even in Valentine, that was like shocking. We start to encourage us, pre-order. Please make sure to pre-order. We'll give you even anything but pre-order, free delivery pre-order. And they don't.
No?
They just buy on the same day. Yeah.
Convenience here in this region is a key.
I have to admit that's the way how I order flour. I usually do it a day before because we don't have same day delivery services, but I send a WhatsApp message to our flour guy next village. There's no delivery options. And then he will do the job.
I would like to circle back to the convenience part, but in the fulfillment cycle, once we get this time slot, now we start having some kind of, first we have to collect the address. And collecting the address might influence this time slot. So if the recipient does not reply within the time of the time slot, we'll have to communicate to the sender telling him that we were not able to collect the address. If you can help us, that would be great, but we're going to continue trying. We eventually get it. Like it's like very, very small number of orders that get canceled because we did not collect the address. Again, we thought that would be a big problem. Turned out not to be. Now, once it gets, you have to understand, like in some places like here, we have 2 fulfillment centers. In all other, we have 1 fulfillment center that serves the whole region. So we have to understand first if this order has something to be prepared. So if this is pre-produced or a produced. So we have bouquet flowers really pre-produced ready, or we need to produce it now. And that dictates when we're going to start the production by the time that it's ready for the pick, pack, ship. So that it goes and grouped with other orders to minimize and make it very efficient for the driver to go and collect.
But a custom bouquet, what is like the picking time for it? Because if it's custom, then there's no ready on the shelf bouquet.
It depends on the complexity of the bouquet and preparing.
$100, $100.
15 minutes, yeah, to prepare.
That's a lot of time.
That's the most complicated one. Yes, it would take 15 minutes. So capacity planning is one of the biggest topics that we're really mastering. How do we prepare this capacity planning? How do we turn on and turn off time slot based on the capacity of the florist and the drivers?
As we are in Riyadh, maybe let's focus on like the Riyadh customer journey. So it's going to be, I guess, like there's a warehouse facility close to Riyadh. So it's going to be produced
within Riyadh. We have 2 within Riyadh. Yeah,
2 within Riyadh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if I order in Dammam or Jeddah,
there's another one in Dammam.
You need like for every major city, you need
not necessarily. Depends on the number of orders.
Okay. Like you could fulfill
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi from Dubai, for example.
Actually, Sharjah from Dubai. But
Okay.
Abu Dhabi is actually one of the biggest
Okay,
cities. So
got it. Okay, but let's focus on Riyadh. So there's like a warehouse facility or 2 here in Riyadh. Now it's now it's picked. How does the shipment process work? Because you cannot pick it, you cannot put it like in a dense box and like squeeze it together. So it must be like the flowers needs to breathe and they need water somehow. How is this working?
So we have our refrigerators in the warehouse and they're put in buckets. And whenever orders come, we group these orders and then the picker goes and pick these flowers, like the number of flowers needed, and they put them in another bucket with water and preparation. And the whole facility is refrigerated, like it's conditioned. So, taking care of these flowers within the picking and putting them to the florist is a very delicate matter. Then the head florists start to assign the orders on the florists. And once they're ready, they're marked ready for the picker to come and pick and put it for the packing and shipping. Pick, pack, ship doesn't take that much of time. It should be like in 5 minutes, done.
How does it look? Is it like shipped in a bucket or is it like in a box or how does it ship?
No, so it depends on the way it is. So we have in our trucks some kind of in-house made fitting things so that when we put it would fit in like a foam thing so they don't wiggle within the delivery. But the whole process, there are like some trolleys and boxes that are really like designed so that they don't fall, they don't get messed up.
And the handover, let's go back to Lina's example, the flower bouquet I ordered for her. The handover is then done like it's an open bouquet or is it like it's a packed
No,
thing?
it's an open bouquet.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you will be surprised, like flowers are delicate, but they're resilient. They would stay for a while. They would take hits. It's not that they would get broken or get damaged really, really quickly just for some heat, especially in Saudi Arabia and UAE with the heat. And this is why flowers are expensive, because we do not pick any kind of flowers. We pick the stems that are really, really unique, that can tolerate these kind of weathers. They don't weather really easily. They would come to you fresh. And even like the stem length would make a difference in how long it can survive and how long it can take, and in the price.
What is the not shelf time? Like let's say the the dinner table time for a bouquet, how long does it hold?
Again, it depends on the type. Like some types would even, like lilies would stay for a week.
Okay.
If you treat them well, they can survive for a week.
Okay.
So I think, like now as we understand the business model, let's switch a bit to the consumer and actually the market and the growth, that element as you pointed out. A lot of the startups in this region, they are very, very successful, as you mentioned at the start, and then that scale, succeed in other countries, replicate the model. That's where most of the challenges come from. And for you, what I believe is you guys were definitely the first in the market in terms of that convenience element, the choice, and the very, very strong and powerful brand, right? So I believe that Floward now is known as a brand for gifts and flowers. But COVID also showed that like players like Insta shops started to digitize all the flower shops that couldn't digitize themselves, right? And all that logistics element of the address, of communicating with the consumer, like Insta shop, let's say automated, right? So you come, you select, they already showed you 3, 4, 5 flower shops that deliver locally to, I don't know, I live on Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. So I can go select and, and then straight away I nearly can WhatsApp them, and it is quite convenient. So how do you compete with this? Do you see that they are the threat to you? Do you see that these marketplaces like InstaShop or aggregators kind of threatening your business or market share? Where do you stand in terms of that?
So to answer this, like from my experience in this region and e-commerce in this region, has similar to other e-commerce in other regions, went through 3 phases of maturity. So customers want 3 things. They want a price. So they want the most affordable, cheapest price. They want variety. So they want lots of variety to choose from. And they want convenience. They want it now, like in 5 minutes.
Correct.
10 minutes. So when e-commerce started back in the early days of Su.com, and they started with attracting the customers who want price. It was all about deals, discounts. You go online to get the cheapest thing. This is how it went. And this acquired lots of users. And then in the next phase of maturity in the region where we started to tap into the variety, people go to online because there's more variety. There are lots of more, like you can see lots of products more than you go offline and see them. And that was fueled by Amazon, Noon, the food delivery. And the last step, which we're living right now, which is the convenience. And this is the last stage of maturity of e-commerce. And in convenience, people want it now. I want it from the comfort of my sofa. I want it now. So people go to e-commerce because the convenience now. And that's the best. Like we're now at the maturity stage of other developed work and we're penetrating this market. We have lots of growth. The problem is you can never have the 3. Even in offline, you can never have the 3. If you take price, that means you have big warehouses that are far away and that you bring in bulks to get the cheap price to turn it to the customer, which make you lose on the convenience. If you want the convenience, that means you want very like proximity kind of warehouses where you have a very small and high rent and you cannot put too much selections, but you get the convenience and you lose on the variety and the price. In all the industries, it's still very hard to crack the 3 and offer the 3 to the customer. I feel that online are more positioned to do that. But again, like you can never have the 3. Whoever going to crack it first is going to eat the market in gifting, in grocery, in everywhere. Now, when you look at gifting, this is where you need to set yourself and decide which one I'm going to deliver the best. And then how can I move to the next part? What we have decided is that what we want to do is the convenience. This is the most important part. When you look at gifting, it's not just the convenience from the comfort of your living room. It's more about even the reliability of the delivery, the experience itself, like the whole thing, this convenient kind of gifting experience rather than picking a gift from here, flowers from there, creating the whole thing, creating the surprise. We take care of it for you. Now, this is where we have the market segment is totally different than the talabat market segment, the people who are looking for flowers, maybe for personal use or like, I remembered you, here's some flowers. No, it's about, I really appreciate, like, it's a very special moment. I want to share it with you, and Floward is there. So that makes us a little bit away from this kind of competition. allowing to give the customer a specific experience. That doesn't mean that we don't have competition.
But does it work like in the online customer acquisition world? Because if I think about like how e-commerce companies are doing marketing, they focus on very, very easy to communicate KPIs. It could be selection, could be like you could have like a range of flowers or products that are like easy or that are hard to handle, like for a small shop. Could be bundles, for example, or a huge shop with good prices, whatever. This is kind of the online marketing strategy. Then you focus like per flower type on a certain like keyword strategy and trying to get the customers in, I don't know, 10 colors of lily for example, and then plus the city name. It's like violet, lily, Jeddah, now cheap. So this is like usually like the SEA strategy for e-commerce companies. How is it working in your case? Because COVID was a good accelerator for the business, but now you're back in the normal game, trying to win and acquire customers. How do you do it?
Occasions. So it's all about the occasions, right? So Valentine's, Mother's Days, Father's Days, graduation, these big occasions are our like bread and butter right now. So I don't want to like, we own these occasions. Whenever you think of these occasions, like our customer, the first thing that pops into their mind is Floward. So I'm going to get Floward, the Father's Day's gift, Mother's Day, Valentine. This is where we see lots of surge in. Now, the challenge that we want to do is tap into the daily occasions. Your birthday, your anniversary, your housewarming, baby born. These kind of occasions, this is where we're expanding right now and even starting to own. So birthday is our big focus. We're going to move into occasion by occasion.
What is your market share then in the region? What do you think is like from all the flowers delivered in the region here in GCC? What is your market share?
I cannot share exact, but we're substantial.
But you can share what do you believe your market share is?
We're substantial. We're substantial, especially like when you talk about Saudi Arabia and UAE and Qatar, we're substantial.
Okay.
So that's why I guess you have to expand into other categories if you want to, grow even further. Because that segment of other occasion, like if you're not able to, convince, let's say, my mother and my father to go online and shop for flowers, because that's just the user behavior. You kind of need to add extra categories to continue having me as a customer. So I shop with you more often rather than just for these occasions.
I think this is the biggest challenge. And this is what we're cracking right now because, again, we want to be gifting, we want to be experience. Flowers is just one part.
Yeah.
There are lots of other verticals. However, we don't want to play the game of marketplace because if we do that, we're going to lose. If we're going to go into the depth.
Because you're losing on your value proposition, experience and convenience.
We cannot, if we're retail, if we want to manage this, it's going to be super, super expensive. Like our competitors in marketplace, if they want to add like 20,000 SKUs tomorrow, they just do it like that. For us, it's deals have to be signed. It's warehouses have to be fulfilled, forecasting. Like it's a huge, huge thing or else we're going to eat from our margin. And we're very profitable. So we don't want to lose that. So the only way to do that is we don't want to play the game of the marketplace. We want to be very unique. It's not about the variety. This is why, again, we don't want to go through the variety and all of that. It's about how to find a unique, if you're looking for a watch, it's not about finding all the watches and selecting which watch. It's about finding the perfect gift experience of a watch that you won't find anywhere else. We can do co-branding with some brands, but it's all about the packaging, the experience, all of that you cannot find anywhere else. This is how you build a brand rather than a competition on price and you're just finding the cheapest thing.
I will definitely take your learning on the like marketplace challenges and like differentiation between your model and marketplaces like into some of the next episodes. Like we are coming to an end. I saw like the next guest already knocking on the door. Yeah, I would have like a couple of more questions, but it was a pleasure having you in the podcast. It's a really cool business. I might have a couple of occasions coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I will definitely figure out your platform.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, they're very reliable. You can definitely trust them to deliver.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot.